Hello everyone, so welcome to the new episode of the NgRx tutorials. So just to give you all a brief as to what we covered in the last lecture, so what we did is we triggered the service call via an effect, and once the service call goes through, we actually dispatch an action which is basically your load contacts action, which goes and updates the contacts within the dashboard state. Okay, so dashboard state is a state which is lazily loaded, and I have covered this in one of the previous episodes, which I'll probably link it in this video. But the thing is, we had already seen the load contacts action, which goes and updates the store. Now we'll see how to basically get all the contacts to our the view contacts component. Okay, currently we don't see anything in the table. What we need to do is we need to query the contacts and get that to our view component, view contacts component. All right, so if I just go back to the view contacts, so view contacts, what we were doing here is we had commented out a few things. Okay, we had commented out the service call from here, and we were actually only dispatching the fetch contacts, which goes ahead and triggers the effect. Now what we'll do is we have already triggered this. We have the contacts with us. Now the first way is you can subscribe to the store. So basically the store is like an observable to which you can subscribe. So if I write subscribe and say state, okay, and if I say constant dashboard state, which will be of type dashboard state, let me add this. Okay, now this would be actually state, and out of that you will have to use the key which is there in your reducer. Okay, so if I go to index.ts of dashboard, okay, oh, where is that? Give me 1 minute. Here it is. I need to use the key here. So we already have the dashboard feature key. If I go back and I need to use that here. Okay, I need to import this first. Okay, so we have the dashboard state, and out of the dashboard state we are interested in the contacts, right? So we need to say this dot contacts, which we already used here. It should be dashboard state dot contacts. Okay, now once this is done, we also need to create the employee form. We need to update the employee form with the form controls. So we will do that here. So this is compiled. If I go back to the UI now, close this. Okay, so you see you have a list of all the contacts that are that are displayed here, and also the pagination works correctly. There's only one page right now, but that will also work correctly. Okay. Okay, now going back, so this was one of the ways to get all the contacts, or to get any state which is existing in your Redux store into your component. All right. Now there's a small disadvantage of actually using this method. Why I'm saying that is because we are actually subscribing to the whole store. So the thing is, if anything changes in the Redux store, your subscribe method will always be called. Okay, and once the subscribe is called, this for loop will run. It will reassign the form controls and their values to their form control names, and this whole block will be executed again, even if your dashboard state or one of your contacts doesn't really change. So that is something we can avoid, right? Because that is unnecessary computation on our side. Because even if dashboard state doesn't change, our subscribe is still getting triggered, right? Because we have subscribed to the whole store, that is the reason why our subscribe will be triggered. So we can actually move away from this, and we can actually use something called as selectors in NgRx. So selectors, what it will do is it will only concentrate on one part of the state and ignore the rest of the state. Meaning, what it will do is it will only concentrate on the dashboard state. It will check if there is a change in the dashboard state, and only if there is a change in the dashboard state will it actually execute certain block of code, right? So the way you will do that is you first need a selector file. So like we had the effects file, like we had seen the reducer file, we'll create something called as selectors. So for that, at the same level where we have the effects and reducers, we'll create another folder and name it selectors. Okay. and within the selectors we'll create one file called as the dashboard.selectors.ts. Okay, now within this what we need to do is we need to fetch the the dashboard state, right? So the syntax for doing that is, so we have to understand that dashboard is a feature module, right? So we to select that particular state from a Redux store, we need to have a feature selector. So the way you do that is you need to write export constant dashboard state, which represents the whole dashboard state, and you need to use the create feature selector. Okay, so like we had seen the create reducer, create action function, here we need to use the create feature selector, and the parameter it takes in is the state name that we have already defined in our reducer. So this is the dashboard feature key we'll use. We go back, we place it here, we import that here. Okay, and we also put a generic here, saying that this is actually a dashboard state. All right. Okay, oh, we need to rename this to say dashboard state, because it's actually contradicting with the existing dashboard state, right? So we named it dashboard state with a small d. Now what we can do is we can use this feature selector and create another selector which will basically fetch only the contacts. All right, so let's say this is export constant contacts. We'll say create selector now, because this is this is something we are selecting from an existing feature state, right? So we'll use this dashboard state feature selector, and this will be of type state, and out of that we'll use the arrow function here. So state dot contacts. All right, so this will return us only the contacts. Okay, so this will only put a watch on the dashboard state, on the existing dashboard state. It will take that as an input and return all the contacts within it. All right, and this is like a memoized function in JavaScript, because if you all don't know what memoized function is, it will keep a check of the the previous value, and if the previous value has not really changed, then it will not really trigger the whole function again. All right, so now what we can do is we can use this contact selector in our view contacts.html or ts file, right? So if I go back, I need to comment this out, because this is not really required. We don't need to subscribe to the whole state. What we can do is we can say this.store dot select, and we need to say contacts. Okay, so this is coming from selectors. Okay, and what we can do is it is actually returning an array of contacts, right? But it will not really return an array of contacts directly. It will wrap it up in an observable and return it. So we can use the observable contacts here, which we have already defined. Okay, so we'll say this dot contacts, and we'll store it within this. All right, this there will be no mismatch, because this is anyways returning an observable of contacts, so we don't have any issues here. Now what we need to do is we need to subscribe to contacts, as that is an observable. All right, we need to say state, or we can say contacts, and within this we can say this dot contacts. As we want to use this in the template, we have to subscribe it firstly, and then we have to run this block, which this is the block which basically sets the value for all the form control names. Okay, so I'll save this, and did we miss anything? Okay, we should be good. The other advantage that it provides us is it gives us a type ahead, right? So if I go to the selector here file, so we use the dashboard state directly, and we got a state.contacts, right? We didn't have to use the square bracket and directly give the contacts or dashboard. I mean, we did that when we subscribe to the store directly here. We were actually passing a dashboard key in a in a box bracket. So where is that code? Okay, here it is. So this is something we can avoid. and we have to use interfaces, and we have to use type aheads or probably prom boxes in an IDE always. So if I go back and if I refresh the screen, so yeah, so our code is still relevant, and this is how selectors work. So yeah, so we'll end this video here. We'll keep it short. And so if you like this video, please do give it a like, do subscribe to the channel, and share it with all your friends. Thank you so much.